ready for this to get this picture and say he was going camping with his friends. What a great idea. Let's get started right away, he said. Joe quickly ran down the stairs to ask his parents. He found his mother reading the Newsweek on a couch in the living room. Mom? Yes, Joe? I was wondering if you see, some of my friends are going camping along the coast, and I was wondering if I could go along with them. It'll be from like Saturday till Tuesday. Weren't you gonna have your drum lesson Sunday? Well, I thought that all over. I was gonna cancel it because this camping trip really means a lot to me. Well, okay, if it really means that much to you. Gee, thanks, Mom. Back in his room, Joe got right to work thinking about what he would need on his trip. First of all, he knew he had to bring a camera. He thought about food and other accessories. When he had gotten enough stuff written down that he had to bring, he got right to work. First of all, he brought in a backpack to stuff everything in. Then he brought in a thermos full of milk and 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. After a few more trips, Joe had everything he needed. An extra roll of film for his camera, a camera, 2 sandwiches, a bag of chips, a backpack, a thermos full of milk, and a fishing pole. After he was all packed up, Joe started down the stairs. I'm going now, Mom. Okay, have a good time. Yep, thanks. Joe was in a hurry to get out of sight before his mother and father caught on that he wasn't really going camping. Joe snuck out the back door and was sneaking around the house so that his mother and father couldn't see that he was going towards the harbor where his father's lobster boat was lodged. Joe saw that he was coming next to a big window, so he quickly ran past as fast as he could by the house. Once he was clear of the house, Joe headed for the harbor. When he was down at his father's dock, Joe, when he was sure no one was looking, made a quick dash for his lobster boat. Joe loaded his camping equipment onto the boat. Then he hopped aboard himself. When everything was snugly set in the cabin, he sat down and proceeded to move away towards the spot he thought the monster or something lay. He turned what he thought was the ignition switch, and sure enough, it started up. After a while of searching, he found the throttle. He wasn't quite sure how far to push it, though. He jammed it on, and he was quite surprised and slowed down. He had just barely scraped the side on a big submerged rock. He reversed the throttle and was beginning to learn how to maneuver it. Out in the open waters, things became a little bit rough. Joe decided to take a break and wait because he had reached the spot where most of the accidents had occurred. He sat and waited for a while. In the evening, the waters had settled down and the sun was about to set. Joe was feeling pretty sleepy, so he decided to take a nap. He lay down and was resting. After the sun had set, the sky was beginning to turn dark. Joe woke up in the middle of the night in sudden horror. He heard a strange noise. Joe was terrified. He had never heard such a terrifying sound. Then he had an idea. It might be the monster that had been taking these fishermen. He got his camera ready and waited. Then, all of a sudden, behind him, up rose a gigantic claw. Joe turned his head, and to his horror, he saw a gigantic claw raising up and about to grab him. He positioned his camera and was beginning to take pictures, but the claw was getting closer. Joe reached behind him and grabbed his fishing pole for protection. He grabbed it and began poking at the hard, crusty claw. After many jabs, he finally broke through the steely shell, and the monster, with a howling roar, sank into the ocean. Joe grabbed the throttle and turned the ignition switch and zoomed off. Just as the sun was peeking over the rim of the sea, Joe came home. Joe grabbed his camera and ran home as fast as he could. Joe zipped into the living room and saw his mother sitting on the couch eating a piece of toast. "I thought you were coming home Tuesday," his mother said. Joe panted the whole story, and his mother was mad but also glad that he had made a whole $100. Joe's story made every headline in all the papers. He had $100 of his own to do anything he wanted with.